Let me say this honestly. After the holidays, my house wasn't messy, but it didn't feel ready either. Things were still half finished, half put away, and somehow that felt heavier than real mess. I made this video because I realized the problem wasn't cleaning harder or faster. It was that my home was still holding on to last-year-old habits, old expectations, unfinished decisions. And most cleaning videos don't talk about that. They show results, but not how to reset your home in a way that actually supports everyday life. In this video, I'm sharing how I gently restarted my home for 2026. One space, one habit, one honest decision at a time. No perfection, no pressure. Just practical resets that make weekdays easier and your mind quieter. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or like your home keeps asking you questions, you're too tired to answer, stay with me. Watch till the end, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep making home feel lighter together. To begin, this first section is called Fresh Start for Everyday Life. I didn't walk into a messy house after the holidays. I walked into a house that still felt unfinished. Christmas decorations were half-packed, gift boxes were stacked temporarily in corners, and paper bags I meant to reuse were still sitting by the door. Nothing was terrible, nothing was urgent, but nothing felt settled either, and somehow that made my head feel heavier than a truly messy day ever does. It wasn't about dirt or dust, it was about loose ends. Every undecided item carried a quiet question: where do I belong now? When your home keeps asking you questions like that, your mind never fully rests even when the calendar says it's already 2026. That's when I realized my house wasn't ready for a new year, not because it needed a makeover, but because it needed closure. So instead of setting a big goal like reset the whole house, I chose something smaller and calmer, restarting how we live in it. I started by finishing old chapters. Christmas decor went back into clearly labeled boxes. Gift bags were sorted, some kept, many let go. Random holiday items that had no real place in our everyday life were gently released. I wasn't organizing for perfection. I was organizing so weekdays could feel lighter. Then I adjusted small routines. Laundry had a clearer flow. The kitchen counters stayed simpler. Storage spaces were asked one honest question: does this support our normal days or just past moments? If this feeling sounds familiar, tomorrow's video will walk you through a full, honest reset, deep cleaning, decluttering, and reorganizing an entire apartment from top to bottom. Don't miss it. It's once I stopped chasing a full reset, I asked myself where daily life actually begins. Now let's move into the next part, cleaning the fridge first. I always start the new year in the same quiet place, standing in front of the fridge door, open, just looking. Not because it's dramatic, but because it tells the truth faster than any other corner of the house. After the holidays, my fridge looked full, but not useful. Leftovers from different celebrations sat side by side, each one from a different day, a different mood. Some food was technically still fine, but no one was actually excited to eat it. Containers had turned into tiny promises I kept postponing. And every time I closed the fridge, I felt that small, familiar guilt I should deal with this. That's when I noticed something important. I wasn't keeping food because I needed it. I was keeping it because I was afraid of wasting it. And those are not the same thing. Holding onto food no one wants doesn't prevent waste. It just moves the waste to later while adding mental clutter every time you open the door. So I didn't empty the fridge all at once. I cleaned it the way I live, calmly, one section at a time. First, the vegetable drawer. I checked what was still fresh enough to cook today or tomorrow, and let go of anything that clearly had passed its moment. Then the dairy shelf opened bottles, half-used sauces, things I kept just in case. Finally, leftovers. If I couldn't picture a real meal from them, they didn't stay. I wiped each shelf quickly. No deep scrubbing, no perfection. The goal wasn't a photo-ready fridge, it was a fridge that felt easy to open, easy to see, easy to decide what's for dinner on a tired weekday. When I finished, the fridge looked simpler, but more importantly, it felt honest. What remained supported how we actually eat now, not how we hope to eat during the holidays. And that small reset made daily life lighter, less thinking, less guilt, more clarity. Sometimes starting fresh doesn't mean starting big. Sometimes it just means starting where your habits are most visible. After the fridge felt clearer, I noticed how much easier meals became. That naturally led me to the pantry, the place quietly shaping our eating habits every single day. Next, we're stepping into resetting the pantry. During busy weeks and festive days, it quietly turns into a temporary storage zone. Snacks get shoved in. Extra ingredients get stacked behind older ones. And before I know it, the pantry is full, yet somehow nothing feels easy to use. When I finally stood in front of it to reset for the new year, I found things I barely remembered buying. Special sauces for one recipe, extra pasta just in case, boxes and bags that were still unopened months later. None of it was bad. Most of it was still perfectly good. But it didn't reflect how our family actually eats. Instead of pulling everything out at once, I worked in categories. I grouped all the same items together, pasta with pasta, snacks with snacks, baking supplies in one spot. That's when the truth showed up. I wasn't running out of food, I was drowning in duplicates. 3 open bags of rice, 5 half-used snack boxes, multiple versions of the same thing, all competing for attention. So I made small, practical changes. I combined unfinished items into one container instead of keeping several half-empty packages. I chose 1 or 2 options we genuinely enjoy and let the rest go donated. What made sense released the rest without guilt. Not everything good needs to stay in your home if it's not serving your real life. I didn't aim for a perfect pantry. I aimed for clarity. When you can see what you have and trust what's there, meals become simpler. Decisions take less energy, and the pantry stops being a stressful space and starts becoming a supportive one. That reset taught me something important. Abundance doesn't come from having more food. It comes from having food that fits your habits, your routines, and the way your family truly lives, especially on ordinary days. With food spaces finally feeling honest and supportive, I felt ready to face something more emotional, opening the storage. Now we come to holiday decor storage. After the holidays, I finally opened that door and found boxes filled with memories from many different seasons. Christmas ornaments, seasonal decor-themed items from years ago, all carefully packed away, waiting for a moment that may or may not come again. Some of those things were beautiful. Some were barely used. And some, I realized I was keeping simply because I had already bought them, not because they still fit our home, not because they brought joy, just because letting them go felt like admitting a past version of me had changed. That's when I asked myself one honest question. If I didn't decorate with this year, will I really use it next year? For many items, the answer was quietly no. Our family routines have shifted. Our space has changed. The way we celebrate now is simpler, calmer, and more about being together than filling every corner with decorations. So I let go gently. I didn't rush. I picked up each item and asked whether it still belonged in our current life, not our past expectations. Decorations that no longer felt right were donated or released. What stayed was what we actually use and truly enjoy setting up without stress or pressure. As I packed the remaining boxes back into storage, something shifted. The space felt lighter, more intentional. I could finally see what we really have, and that clarity made planning future holidays feel easier, not overwhelming. The biggest lesson came after I closed the door. I made a quiet promise to myself next year. I don't need to buy more decorations just because they're pretty or on sale. If we already have enough, and we do, then adding more only creates clutter for my future self to deal with. Letting go of seasonal decorations made me notice another kind of leftover from winter fabric everywhere. At this point, we're talking about laundry reset after winter. After winter, the amount of fabric in the house feels unreal. Thick blankets, extra towels, heavy clothes that were used non-stop during cold days. One look at the pile and I felt that familiar wave of overwhelm, like I was already behind before I even started. For a moment, I wanted to handle it all. Wash everything, fold everything, clear the floor in one long, exhausting day. But I've learned something over the years, that mindset is exactly what turns laundry into a burden. So this time I paused and chose a gentler approach. I broke it into pieces. One day I only washed. No folding pressure. Clean clothes stayed in baskets, and that was enough. The next day, when I had more energy, I folded. Not perfectly, just enough to put things away where they belong. Giving myself permission to separate washing from folding changed everything. The work felt manageable instead of endless. I also stopped trying to follow a nice order. I didn't start with matching sets or guest towels. I started with what we needed most: everyday clothes, the blanket we actually use on the couch towels for tomorrow morning. Pretty stacks could wait. Function came first. That's when a quiet realization settled in. Laundry is not a project you complete. It's a cycle you move through. There is no final done. And expecting yourself to reach that point only creates frustration. When I stopped treating laundry like a mountain, I had to conquer it became part of daily life again, something that flows in and out, just like cooking or cleaning dishes. Some days are fuller than others. That's normal. By the end of the week, the pile was gone, not because I pushed harder, but because I worked with my energy instead of against it. Starting the year this way felt grounding. It reminded me that a calm home doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from choosing rhythms that can last. Once laundry stopped feeling overwhelming, I turned toward rest. Because no matter how tidy the house is, if the bedroom feels busy, the body never truly slows down. Now, let's slow down and move into resetting the bedroom. The room quietly collects everything we touch, but don't deal with, especially the nightstand. Books. I meant to finish lip balm, hair ties, old receipts, chargers, little just-in-case items. None of it looks dramatic, but together they create noise. So I started there. I cleared the nightstand and faced the small decisions I'd been avoiding. I let go of items I kept only because I might need them someday. The truth is, if something hasn't been useful during my nightly routine, it doesn't deserve to sit next to where I sleep. Next, I adjusted the drawers to match how mornings and evenings actually flow. Pajamas, skincare, and chargers stayed close and easy to reach at night. Morning items moved to their own space, so I wasn't digging through things half awake. I didn't aim for perfect organization, just fewer steps and less thinking when my energy is low. One thing I did on purpose was leave space empty. Not every surface needs to be filled. Open space gives your eyes somewhere to rest and your mind follows. When the room feels calmer, your body knows it's safe to slow down. Over the next few nights, I noticed the difference. I fell asleep faster. I stopped feeling restless when I turned off the lights. My mood in the mornings felt steadier, less rushed. Nothing magical changed except the environment supporting rest instead of quietly resisting it. That's when it really clicked for me. A tidy bedroom isn't about aesthetics. It's about recovery. When your room is arranged with care, your body doesn't have to work as hard to relax. As the bedroom became calmer, I started noticing smaller details, especially scents. Next, we're focusing on keep fewer scents. I was going through my scented items, essential oils, candles, room sprays. Over time, they had quietly multiplied. Some bottles were empty. Some scents I no longer liked. Others I kept only because they reminded me of a certain season or mood I no longer lived in. I realized I was holding on to smells the same way people hold on to objects out of nostalgia. I'll keep this so I can remember how it felt. But memory doesn't need clutter to exist. And forcing myself to live with scents that no longer feel good doesn't bring comfort. It creates subtle irritation I hadn't noticed before. So I kept only the ones that genuinely made my body relax. Scents that felt clean, warm, or grounding now, not years ago. The rest were gently let go. Not because they were bad, but because they no longer matched who I am or how I want my home to feel. I also changed where I stored them. Instead of hiding oils and sprays in a drawer, I placed a small selection in easy-to-reach spots near the bed in the bathroom by the living room shelf. When something is visible and accessible, it gets used. And when it gets used, it brings real value. What stayed was simple, fewer scents, clearer choices. I stopped saving them for special moments and started using them in ordinary ones after cleaning before bed during slow mornings. That's when they actually did what they were meant to do. Now we're moving into cleaning with your energy. This year, I stopped trying to clean according to a strict plan. No fixed schedule, no checklist taped to the fridge. Instead, I started listening to my energy, and that changed everything. Some days, I feel capable of doing a lot. I can declutter a cabinet wipe surfaces and still have energy left. Other days, all I can manage is clearing one small corner or folding a single basket of laundry. And I've learned to let that be enough. Progress doesn't look the same every day, and it doesn't need to. When I feel tired, I stop. Not because I'm lazy, but because pushing through exhaustion only creates resentment toward the work. Cleaning shouldn't feel like a punishment. Allowing myself to rest keeps the process sustainable, especially during a busy season like the start of a new year. I also stopped blaming myself for things not being done. A home isn't a project with an end date. It's a living space that changes daily. The moment I released the idea that everything must be finished to count the pressure lifted. Interestingly, when I do feel motivated, I use that energy intentionally. That's when I tackle the tasks I usually avoid, the tricky drawer, the overstuffed shelf, the space I've been postponing. Working with my motivation instead of waiting for the right day makes hard tasks feel lighter. What this approach has taught me is simple but powerful. Slow progress is still progress. Every small action adds up. Every drawer cleared, every item returned to its place, every pause taken at the right moment helps build a home that feels calm instead of demanding. Resetting my house this way didn't just clean my space, it softened my relationship with it. And that feels like the best way to begin a new year. Finally, we end with simple cleaning principles. The first one is this. I don't keep things for an ideal version of myself anymore. I don't organize for the woman who cooks elaborate meals every night, hosts perfectly styled dinners, or suddenly has endless free time. I organize for who I am now. Letting go of that imaginary future self instantly reduces clutter and guilt. Another thing that changed everything is understanding that cleaning is done in cycles. Every time I tidy, it's just one round, not a permanent finish. The house will get messy again because we live in it. Once I accepted that, I stopped trying to do everything at once and started doing just enough. I also clean while I still have energy, not when I'm already exhausted. Even 15 focused minutes while I feel okay does more good than an hour of angry, tired cleaning. When my body says stop, I listen. That's how I avoid resenting my own home. One important shift was realizing a home that needs to be cleaned is not a failure. It's proof of life. Dishes mean meals were cooked. Laundry means clothes were worn. Mess means movement. When I stopped seeing mess as something to fix and started seeing it as something to manage, the pressure eased. Now I clean with one clear intention: to make daily life easier. Not to impress anyone, not to prove I'm organized, just to support my energy, my routines, and my peace. This reset was never about perfection. It was about gently closing old chapters and setting our homes up to support real everyday life in 2026 with less pressure and more ease. I know how heavy cleaning can feel, especially after the holidays, and I want you to know you're not doing this alone. If your home feels overwhelming sometimes, that doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're living. If you want to go deeper, I have a separate video where I take you through a full, honest apartment reset from deep cleaning to decluttering and reorganizing every space start to finish. I truly recommend watching it right after this one because it's packed with practical, real-life tips you'll actually use, and it would be a big miss to skip it. If this video helped you even a little, please like, share, and subscribe. Pass these ideas on to your friends and family because you deserve a calmer, more enjoyable life, and so do the people you care about.